Ladies, let me tell you something that's going to shift the way you look at men forever. And I need you to really hear me on this. Men, we operate different from women. Women, y'all got a natural instinct when it comes to love. You feel it, you know it, you live it. But men, we got this thing inside of us that makes us take love for granted when it's right there in front of us. That's the truth. A man could have the most amazing woman in his life and still act like she'll always be there. He'll act like he's got time, like he can play around, like he can halfway show up and she'll keep waiting. But the moment she lets go, the moment she steps back and says, you know what, I'm not doing this anymore, that's when the reality sets in. That's when he feels the kind of pain that cuts him deep. And it cuts deep because he realizes he wasn't dealing with just anybody. He was dealing with a woman who was rare, a woman who knew her worth, and now he doesn't have access to her anymore. See, men are built for the chase. We like to feel like we work for something. It's how we're wired. It's not just about relationships. It's about everything. You let a man work for a car, pay for it with his own sweat and effort, and he's going to value that car. But you hand him something for free, he's not going to care about it in the same way. It's human nature. And in men, it's magnified. That's why when a woman makes herself too available, when she never says no, when she keeps accepting less than she deserves, the man stops valuing her. He thinks she's always going to be here. She ain't going nowhere. But when she walks away, when she cuts off access, when she says, you don't get to have me unless you come correct, that's when he realizes the treasure he just lost. Because men don't miss convenience, they miss absence. It's not until you're gone that he sees just how much you meant. And ladies, let me tell you something else. A man remembers the details of how you made him feel. We might act tough. We might act like we don't care. But deep down, we remember every moment that mattered. We remember the woman who encouraged us when we didn't believe in ourselves. We remember the woman who prayed for us when we didn't even pray for ourselves. We remember the woman who smiled at us in ways that made us feel like we mattered. And when that woman walks away, it's not just her body that's gone, it's her spirit, her presence, her energy. That's the thing a man falls harder for. He doesn't fall for you when you're chasing him, when you're begging for him to act right. He falls when he realizes you loved him enough to stay, but respected yourself enough to go. Now, some women get scared of letting go because you think, if I let him go, he's going to find somebody else. He's going to replace me. But let me help you understand something. Yes, he might go out there and find somebody else, but that doesn't mean he forgets you. You might see him smiling on social media, acting like he moved on, but at night when it's quiet and he's by himself, that's when he feels it. Because deep down, men compare. He might find another woman, but in the back of his mind, he's saying, she don't talk to me the way she did. She don't hold me down the way she did. She don't understand me like she did. And those comparisons eat at him. Because the woman who let him go is the one who made the biggest mark. The one who didn't beg for his attention. The one who didn't chase. The one who chose her dignity over desperation. That's the woman a man never forgets. And I know some of y'all are thinking, Steve, that sounds good, but it hurts to let go. And you're right, it does hurt. Letting go of somebody you love is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. But here's the truth. Holding on to somebody who doesn't value you hurts more. Staying in a situation where you're undervalued, unappreciated, or half loved, that pain will eat away at you every single day. But when you let go, when you finally say, I deserve better, that's the kind of strength that makes a man look at you different. That's the kind of strength that makes him respect you even if he doesn't admit it out loud. And sometimes that's the very thing that makes him fall for you harder than he ever did before. Because men fall for women who are strong enough to walk away, not the ones who beg them to stay. And let me be real with you. When you let a man go, it forces him to look at himself. While you're gone, he's left with his own thoughts. And men don't like sitting with their thoughts. Because we know when we've messed up, he'll start replaying the things he said wrong, the moments he took you for granted, the times you tried to communicate and he brushed you off. And that reflection can hit a man like a ton of bricks. Because while you're gone, he's realizing just how much you shaped his life, how much you held him together, how much you gave without asking for anything in return. And the regret starts to build. That's when he starts to fall. That's when the emotions he buried start to rise up. And that's when he understands the depth of what he lost. Ladies, you got to remember this. Men are visual, but we are also emotional creatures, even if we don't show it the same way. You think because a man ain't crying, or because he ain't posting about you, that he don't care. But let me tell you, when a man loses a good woman, that pain don't go away easy. He might distract himself, he might try to act like he's fine, but sooner or later, it catches up with him. And when it does, he falls harder than he ever thought possible. And it's all because you had the courage to let him go. So don't ever think that letting go makes you weak. It's the opposite. It shows your strength. It shows that you know your worth. And when a man sees that strength, when he feels that absence, when he realizes he can't just call you and you'll be right there, that's when it hits him. That's when he knows he had something valuable. And that's when he falls harder, deeper, stronger than he did when you were standing right beside him. Ladies, let me tell you something real clear, because sometimes women don't always see how powerful they are in a man's life. A man can walk around acting strong, acting like he don't need nobody, acting like he's got everything under control. He can put on that tough exterior, laugh with his boys, throw himself into work, post like he's living his best life. But when the right woman lets him go, when she pulls her love, her energy, her presence away, that man feels it in ways he can't even put into words. See, men don't always show emotion the way women do. We don't cry the same. We don't call our friends and talk it all out. We suffer in silence. And silence can be loud when you've lost somebody who mattered. That's why men fall harder for the woman who had the courage to let them go. Because it's not just about losing her body. It's about losing the comfort of knowing she was there. It's about losing that anchor that kept his world steady even when he didn't acknowledge it. You got to understand how men think. A man gets comfortable. Comfort is dangerous because it makes him think you're not going anywhere. You've been picking up after him. You've been answering every call. You've been accepting half-effort dates. You've been showing up for him when he wasn't showing up for you. And he thinks that's normal. He thinks that's what love looks like. And as long as you're there, he doesn't have to examine his own behavior. But the minute you let go, the minute you say, "Enough," everything changes. That comfort disappears, and what's left is a man sitting alone with the realization that he messed up. And that's when it hits him the hardest, because he didn't expect you to actually walk away. He thought you'd keep tolerating. He thought you'd keep waiting. And when you prove him wrong, it shatters his whole sense of control. And here's the thing most women don't realize. Men love deeply, but we love late. We don't always recognize the value of what we have until it's out of reach. You were the one he vented to when life got heavy. You were the one he looked for when he needed peace. You were the one who believed in him when he doubted himself. But because you were consistent, because you were loyal, because you didn't force him to earn it, he thought it was guaranteed. And when you leave, that's when he starts putting the pieces together. That's when he remembers all the little things you did. How you laughed at his corny jokes. How you had his back when nobody else did. How you cared about his dreams, even when he hadn't figured out how to chase them. And those memories play in his head like a highlight reel he can't turn off. That's why he falls harder after you're gone. Because suddenly the things he overlooked become the things he can't stop thinking about. And let me tell you something about men that we don't always admit. We crave respect. More than love, more than affection, a man wants to be respected. And when a woman lets him go, that's actually the ultimate form of respect to herself. She's saying, "I will not settle for less than I deserve. I will not let you treat me like an option. I will not keep lowering myself to keep you comfortable." And as much as it might hurt him, deep down he respects it. Because it forces him to see her as strong, not desperate. And strength is attractive to a man in ways that beauty alone will never be. A man may be drawn to your looks, but he falls for your strength. And nothing demonstrates strength more than walking away from what no longer serves you. Now, I know letting go feels like a gamble. You don't know if he's going to wake up and change, or if he's just going to keep moving. But here's the reality. If he doesn't come back better, he wasn't the one for you anyway. And if he does come back, it won't be because you begged. It won't be because you chased. It won't be because you lowered yourself. It'll be because he realized through the pain of losing you that he had to step up. And that's when the love gets real. Not the love of convenience, not the love of comfort, but the love that grows from a man knowing he almost lost the best thing in his life and choosing to fight for it. See, ladies, men don't like facing their emotions, but when you're gone, they don't have a choice. He can distract himself with work. He can go out with friends. He can even try to replace you with somebody new. But late at night, when the phone is silent, when the house feels empty, when there's nobody to listen to him the way you did, that's when it creeps in. That's when he feels it the most, and he won't always tell you, but believe me, it's there. He might put up a front, but inside, that regret burns. Because men are stubborn, but we're not blind. We know when we lost something good. And the longer you stay gone, the harder it hits him. That's why letting go is not just about leaving him. It's about choosing yourself. When you choose yourself, you raise the standard. You say, this is what I deserve. And if you can't meet it, I'm gone. And a man has no choice but to see that. And here's the beautiful part. Even if he never comes back, the next man will. And he'll know he has to meet that standard because you won't lower it. And if the man you let go was truly the one, he'll come back, not because you begged, but because he couldn't live with the reality of losing a woman who knew her worth. Men fall harder for women who let them go because it forces us to reflect, to grow, to see clearly what we were blind to before. And in that space of absence, love becomes real. It's not about what you did for him every day. It's about the void he feels when you're no longer there. And that void teaches him a lesson that no amount of talking could ever teach. It teaches him that love isn't about convenience. It's about value. And when a man learns that lesson, he doesn't just miss you. He falls for you all over again, harder than before, because now he understands. Let me break this down because a lot of people don't really understand how men's hearts operate. A man can be with a woman every day. He can laugh with her, eat with her, spend nights together, and still not fully grasp the depth of what she means to him. He knows she's there. He knows she cares. He knows she loves him, but he don't always take time to reflect on it. And when something is constantly available, when it feels permanent, human nature takes it for granted. That's what happens to men. We get spoiled by consistency. We start thinking she's always going to be here. And that's where we mess up. Because when that woman finally gets fed up, when she says, no more, I deserve better, and she walks away, that shock wakes us up in a way nothing else can. And when it hits hard. Harder than we expected, harder than we can explain, because it's the absence of her that speaks louder than the presence we ignored. A man who loses a good woman doesn't just lose a companion. He loses peace. He loses comfort. He loses the safe space he never knew he needed until it was gone. And see, men don't always know how to process emotions in the moment. We bury them under work, under hobbies, under distractions, but the truth is they don't go away. They sit there, and the silence after a woman lets go is the very thing that brings them to the surface. That's why men fall harder after she's gone, because now he's forced to sit in the reality of her absence. And when that silence hits, it's deafening. The house feels empty, the phone feels too quiet, the meals don't taste the same. Even his own accomplishments feel dull because there's nobody to share them with. That's when he realizes the difference she made. That's when he understands that her presence was not ordinary, it was extraordinary. And now he has to live with the knowledge that he lost it. Men are competitive by nature. We're wired to chase. We're wired to win. But when a woman refuses to be won cheaply, when she refuses to stay under conditions that don't honor her, she changes the entire game. She puts the ball in his court, and suddenly he has to ask himself, am I man enough to step up? Am I willing to become the man she needs? Am I willing to do the work to keep her? That's the power of letting go. It separates the boys from the men. It reveals who's truly invested and who was just comfortable. And believe me, when a man realizes he was just comfortable, that sting cuts deep, because no man wants to face the truth that he lost something great simply because he was lazy with love. And ladies, let me tell you this. When you let go, you're not punishing him. You're not being mean, you're teaching him. You're showing him what you require, what you will and will not accept. Men don't always listen to words, but we listen to actions. You can say 100 times, I need you to step up. And he might nod and say, okay, babe. But until your actions back it up, he won't take it seriously. The moment you stop answering calls at midnight, the moment you stop rearranging your life to fit his half effort, the moment you stop showing up for a man who won't fully show up for you, that's when he starts to pay attention. Because now it's not theory anymore, it's reality. And reality has a way of waking men up. That's why he falls harder after you let go, because your absence teaches a lesson your presence couldn't. Now, here's another truth about men. We don't forget the woman who loved us right. We may move on. We may get into other relationships. We may even act like we're over it, but deep inside, the memory stays. Because genuine love leaves an imprint that no one else can erase. That's why you see men years later trying to reconnect with the woman they lost. It's not always about wanting her back physically. It's about the memory of how she made him feel. And when that feeling is gone, when it can't be recreated with somebody else, he falls harder in hindsight, because now he's comparing whether he admits it or not. Every new person is measured against the one who walked away. And when they don't measure up, that regret deepens. That's why he can't shake her. That's why he dreams about her. That's why he replays moments in his mind. Because the woman who let him go becomes the standard he didn't appreciate until it was too late. And I know some women hear this and think, but Steve, if he falls harder after I let him go, why didn't he act right when he had me? And the answer is simple, because men don't change until they're uncomfortable. Comfort breeds complacency. As long as he thinks you're going to keep tolerating, he doesn't have to change. But when you remove yourself, when you shake up his comfort zone, when you stop being predictable, that's when he feels the discomfort. And discomfort is what sparks growth. So don't ever underestimate the power of your absence. Sometimes walking away is the only way to wake a man up. And when he wakes up, that fall hits him like a ton of bricks. Because now he sees you not as the woman who begged him, not as the woman who settled, but as the woman who valued herself enough to demand better. And that image of you is far more powerful than any words you could have spoken. See, women often think men don't notice the small things. But trust me, we notice. We just don't always acknowledge it. We notice how you supported our dreams. We notice how you cared about our family. We notice how you stood by us in moments we didn't deserve it. We may not say it while you're there, but when you're gone, those things become magnified. And that's why we fall harder, because those small acts of love become big regrets. We start thinking, why didn't I appreciate her when I had her? Why didn't I give more? Why did I assume she'd always be there? And regret mixed with memory creates a powerful pull that no man can ignore. That's why he falls, not just because he misses you, but because he realizes how much he failed to rise to the occasion. And I want you to understand this. Your power is not in convincing him. Your power is in choosing yourself. A man will only fall as deeply as a woman values herself. Because when you show him you can live without him, when you show him you're not afraid to walk away, that's when he sees your strength. And strength is what makes him respect you, what makes him admire you, what makes him fall for you even more than before. Because men might chase beauty, but they stay for strength. And the woman who has the courage to let him go is the woman who stands out in his heart forever. Ladies, let me tell you something that might surprise you. Men are not as complicated as you think, but we sure can be stubborn. A man can be standing right next to the best thing in his life and not realize it until it's gone. He can look at a woman every single day, benefit from her love, her patience, her loyalty, her encouragement, and still walk around acting like he's got all the time in the world to get it right. That's the problem with us. We think time is endless. We think the woman who's always been there will always stay. And that's why when she finally walks away, when she decides she deserves better and refuses to settle for less, it shakes us to the core. That's when men fall harder, because we don't know how to appreciate constant love until it turns into silence. You gotta understand, men love differently. Women often love up front, openly, with everything in them. Men, on the other hand, hold back. We can care about a woman deeply but act like we don't. We can feel love but still try to keep a little distance because of pride, ego, or fear. But when she lets go, that distance turns into emptiness, and that emptiness exposes everything we were hiding. That's why the fall feels harder, because we ignored the reality of what she meant to us while she was there, and now we're faced with it when she's gone. Nothing hits a man like the loss of a woman who genuinely cared for him. And I don't care how strong or unemotional he tries to look. When he goes home at night and lays in that bed by himself, he knows. He knows she was different. He knows he messed up. And that knowing doesn't just sit lightly on his heart. It weighs him down. A man who loses a good woman will replay everything in his mind. He'll remember how she believed in him when nobody else did. He'll remember how she spoke life into him when he doubted himself. He'll remember how she made little sacrifices that she didn't even talk about, just so he could feel supported. And those memories don't go away. They stay with him, they linger, they haunt him. And every time he sees another woman, he'll compare. Every time he tries to move forward, he'll remember. And no matter how much he tries to cover it up with distractions, deep down he knows. That's why the fall is harder. Because now he's living with the reality that he lost something priceless. And no matter what he does, he can't recreate that same feeling with anybody else. See, women think men don't care when they act distant, but that's not true. Men care, but they're comfortable. Comfort is dangerous because it tricks us into believing we don't have to change. As long as you keep giving, as long as you keep showing up, as long as you keep accepting half effort, he doesn't have to step up. He doesn't have to look at himself in the mirror and say, "Man, I need to do better." But the moment you stop, the moment you walk away, that comfort is gone. Now he's left with himself, and that's when the truth starts knocking. And truth always has a way of making a man face what he's been avoiding. He can't deny it anymore. He lost a woman who loved him right, and that realization makes him fall harder than he ever did while she was by his side. And here's something else about men. We admire strength more than we admit. We might chase beauty, we might enjoy attention, but what makes us truly respect and fall deeper is strength. And the greatest display of strength a woman can show is knowing her worth enough to let go. When she says, "I love you, but I love myself more," that's powerful. When she says, "I care about you, but I'm not going to beg you to treat me right," that's unforgettable. And when she proves she can live without him, that's when a man realizes she's not just any woman, she's the kind of woman you build your life around. Because strength and self-respect are attractive in ways that go beyond looks. Looks might catch a man's eye, but strength captures his heart. And when a woman walks away with dignity, that's when she leaves a mark he can never erase. Now, I'm not saying every man will come running back the minute you let go. Some won't. Some will keep drifting. Some will look for replacements. Some will keep pretending like they're fine. But here's the thing. Whether he comes back or not, he still falls. He still feels it. He still knows he lost something special. And the truth is, if he was never meant for you, his absence makes space for the one who is.